We come with messages of love and of light. And we want to take and show all of the evidence of the spiral that is in your life and that is surrounding you always. For you are the spiral. For the DNA in your cellular body is a spiral. For your hairline on the back of the crown of your head is a spiral. For the crown chakra is your pure connection to source, to creator, to life, to unity consciousness. So of course it must manifest as a spiral in your hair. The spiral in your fingerprints, the spiral around your kneecaps, the spirals around your stomach and your gallbladder. These are all spirals in reflection of the spiral that sits around your universe, that sits around your planet, and that connects everything to unity consciousness, and that connects the planet to unity consciousness and connects you to unity consciousness. And you are the direct reflection of the self having an experience but relaying back the messages to us in unity consciousness through the spirals. As you say, the circle of life, however, it is the spiral of life. And at this time, we can feel the collective elevate, shedding the old self, the old versions of the self, the old things that were important to them that shapes one's life, and stepping into change, stepping into a greater belief system, stepping into themselves more and what they want to do as an individual, as opposed to what the collective or the society says they should do. We are seeing this more and more, and we are so excited to be witness and to be here to cheer on everybody that's stepping into their role and of their soul mission, of their passion, of their greatest desires, of manifesting, of realizing that they are the attractor, that they are the receiver, they are the giver, they are all things in creatorship, that they are the divine light being that is so beautiful to watch and so beautiful to witness. And the more that that lights up the grid of the planet steps into its own realization of its own divinity, and that it's creation in itself. And then that reflects back. So it's a cycle and a spiral that keeps going and keeps elevating each other. And if we talk about timelines, we also want to talk that the timelines are in a spiral that are interwoven with each other. This is how everything can be happening at the same time. Your past, present, and future self. Your 3-dimensional, 4th dimensional, 5th dimensional, 6th dimensional, 11th dimensional self can all be connected at once through the spiral of life. For it is light that is spiraling through each of those dimensional realities, but still coming from one source. Therefore, there must be interference and interaction with each other. This is how you can interact and communicate with yourself in different dimensional realities. You have left messages for yourself, or you are communicating to yourself, for you know which direction to take because you have seen the greater picture, you have lived that life before. You know how to navigate the experience for even a greater experience, and you can see the ripple effect from one life to another. Therefore, you must communicate and exchange so that your timeline can be different, for it is directly impacted in the present now. The complexity of this is simplified as thinking of the spiral with one light, one soul, having different experiences in different dimensionalities. And on top of that spiral is a web where fragments of that light are having different experiences within the web, which is also in the spiral, which you call parallel. So if your past, present, and future life is happening in the same spiral from the same light source in different dimensionalities, then the parallel selves are fractals of the light in another web. Still all connected to source, still all from the same light, just fractals of that light. And there are more and more people connecting and co-creating with their parallel selves. And they have questions about their parallel self and about the parallel universes and the parallel storylines of dimensionality. So to be clear, the parallel self still has dimensionality as it still sits in the spiral. However, the fragment of light, which is you, and so many fragments having multiple experiences, are playing out timelines on the spiral in a trial and error for your highest dimensional self coming from the same source of light to then guide you on which timeline is most compatible. Mm-hmm. We could feel your aha moment. This is the whole point of parallel universes and parallel selves. And remember, it's only a fractal of you. It is not you living it out. And the example that comes to mind is a video game that has 3 lives, but different levels and different layers. And then you can pick another character and do the same. And then you can pick another character and do the same. So imagine all of those games playing at one time with the one controller. Does this example make sense to you?
Yes, it makes sense. It makes sense.
So the energetic question from the collective is, which versions of me are playing in the parallel universe and the parallel universes? There are infinite possibilities and infinite versions of you. You know the version of you that is sitting in this room right now. However, if your energy is thinking about going to the beach, then that fractal energy of you is already at the beach. Therefore, that fractal energy of you is gone to the beach, gone in the water, felt the sand, felt the sun, got in a taxi, got back home. There's multiple layers there in that one experience of what the fractal version of you has had. However, you are still sitting in this room. You have not physically left to go to the beach yet. This is the version of you that is living in parallel. It is your thoughts. It is your desires. When we say that your thoughts are powerful, it's because once you have a thought, you send it out into the universe, which picks up on your parallel fractal lights of you and starts manufacturing and living out those timelines of those greatest desires for your highest desire and your highest version of yourself. The controller with the control pad, the 11th version dimensional version of yourself to see which timeline is the most suitable. This is how you can understand and you can feel what to wear, what to feel, how to smell, how to be it, how to feel like it's already happened, because it has already happened, and the 11th dimensional version of you is sending that light back down through the spiral to your current version of you, bringing it to you. That's how you draw it to yourself. It is you drawing it to you. It is you in the quantum creating those different timelines and parallel versions of yourself, living out those lives or living out those situations and those thoughts. So imagine how many thoughts you're having a day, how many times you are manifesting a day, how many thoughts and desires and beliefs you are rewriting. Every time you do that, one fractal of your light is going to live that out. Then your 11th dimensional self will translate and transmute the information back to you. And the how is left to all of the other fractals of light to deliver it to you. In the path of least resistance, meaning in the best way possible, in the highest version of light to be delivered to you. The collective question is then, well, how many versions of the one thought are held by the fractal versions of myself? Or is it just one thought, one storyline, one fractal of light, one path, and then the 11th dimensional self helps to co-create those patterns or those timelines to then give you back the information of what will work? Yes. Mm-hmm. The answer is yes. That's how it happens. So you are co-creating with yourself, with the quantum field, with your fractal self, with the web, with the spiral, in order to bring it to you. So how many thoughts do you have a day? Let's take one very simple example. You are driving your car and the traffic light is going from amber to red. Do you stop and brake, or do you keep going? That is one thought that you may have, 10 times a day. You have then sent that thought into the web, into the spiral. Your 11th dimensional self has seen what will happen if you go, if you brake, if you pause, if you don't pause. How many is that? 4. And then sent you back the information for you to then feel like I should brake. I don't know why, I just feel like I need to brake. That feeling is from the 11th dimensional self. Generally, every time you have a thought, the options are infinite. But if you've done the same thing over, it's a reoccurring thought, like traffic lights, it'll narrow it down to about 3 or 4 options for you. Because there are none else. There are no more else. That doesn't make sense. There are no other thoughts beyond that. But if you have a thought that is, should I quit my job? This will not only bring you infinite results and infinite answers, but it'll also start your fractals discovering and doing their own ideas of what they think you want. This is where it starts to be co-creation. Just with that one thought, should I quit my job? You are thinking about, how will I quit? When will I quit? What month should I quit? Should I get a service payout before I quit? How much money will that be? Well, how much do I have in the bank? And then what do I pay my rent? And then what would I do? How long will it take me to find another job? And how much will that pay me? And then is that a good decision? And should I wait for an offer before I So each of those are thoughts. which means you've already put them out there. So they're already fractaled and working and co-creating for you to then think, nah, I'm good. I'll give it another year. Allow us to give you another example. I'm gonna eat dessert tonight at the restaurant. I'm gonna order dessert. I want the chocolate ice cream lava cake. I want a chocolate lava cake with chocolate ice cream. Okay? You don't even know that that's on the menu before you get to the restaurant, because you're one of those people that doesn't check before you go. Okay? So you go there and you don't even look at the dessert menu, and you just tell the waiter, I want the chocolate lava cake with chocolate ice cream. That thought is so powerful because you already thought about it, that whether the kitchen has it or not, they will still deliver it to you. There is no other option. You've firmly believed that there will be a chocolate lava cake with chocolate ice cream. You believed it before you got there. You knew that they were going to have it. You knew so much so you didn't even have to check the menu. You're not giving the option to the waiter or to that kitchen to not serve it. This is where we call co-creation and alignment. You have co-created with the chef, you have co-created with the restaurant, you have co-created with the exchange of enjoying a meal, you have co-created with paying the bill and the energy exchange that happens there. You are in co-creation mode. There is no other option. And then just for fun, the waiter will say, it's your lucky day. Today's the first day we're having this on the menu. Just for your own realization to then be like, 11th dimensional self, thank you for the confirmation. This is the most simplified understanding that we can offer in the terms of terminology and vocabulary that this vessel requires and that has, and for you to understand the information. It is more intricate than you can ever imagine. Your AI is only a pure reflection of this because it already exists. Everything is co-creation. You are telling your AI chat box what you desire, and it gives you an infinite amount of options and an infinite amount of ways and in infinite languages, and then you choose which one you want. It's exactly the same. It's co-creation. It's copy-paste of, it's a reflection. It's created because there is a reflection of what's going on now. You can imagine that there are 28 parallel universes that look exactly the same and that there's a walking, talking you in all of those 28 versions, if that makes it clearer to your understanding. But it's not necessarily 28 versions. It's all happening here in the now. It's just layered into dimensional realities that you can physically see and that you can physically not see, that you can physically feel and that you cannot feel. But it's all within you. And then when your fractal light goes out and plays all those roles, your 11th dimensional self shows you this is the plan, this is how it's going to happen, this is what will happen. And then you have the choice to take that action or to not. And if you don't, it's okay, there's recalibration. Just reroute, 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 reroute. And if you choose to go for it, then you're like, this is deja vu. I've done this before. Why does this feel so natural and easy? How do I know this information? Because a fractal of you just did it. In the same amount of time that it takes you to make the decision of press the brake or not. So it's not a pause moment where you have 10 minutes or 3 days to decide. You send the information out and it comes back to you instantaneously. That's how energy works. There's no time delay. There's only delay and an automatic default delay in humanity for this safety precaution and reasoning, because of reasoning and free will, that there's like a 10 or a 20-second delay for you to cancel clear that thought. But that's moments of time, not time. The collective question is then, and we are getting these collective questions from the energetic field and from the quantum field that are going unanswered, and we feel like we have the ability to answer these questions. So if you're listening to this or if you're sharing this information, it's because you have asked these questions and now we would like to deliver the answer in the highest vibrational form possible. The next collective question is, if the fractal version of me is the parallel version of me, does my past, present, and future self also have fractal versions of themselves happening at the same time? So because if they're happening now, my past self is happening now, my many past selves, their thoughts are then going into the fractal versions of the light that then goes into parallel versions to manifest this. And the 11th dimensional self is then overseeing all of this to also give my past self the correct, or the information for my past self to make the same decision or to make a decision. Okay, so to clarify, do you understand the question?
I do understand the question.
So, because it's a bit confusing when we get into this kind of brainwave warping type of information. So basically, the question is, my past lives or my past self, if that's all happening in the now, and I have fractal versions of myself in parallel universes and parallel activities, that my 11th dimensional self can then assist and give me options from a higher perspective, and then I make the decision. Is that happening to my past self in the now?
And does it also happen to your future self in the now?
Yes and yes. So you can imagine the zeros and ones of all of the information that is going to your 11th dimensional self.
And
for them to display and share infinite possibilities to one or two possibilities that comes back to you, and then you make a decision, or even better, it is delivered to you without you having to make a decision, because it's in your vibration and it's in your alignment. And that's what we call a miracle. That's what we call mastery. That's what we call a powerful manifester. And this is how your past self and your future self can be healed from yourself in the present moment now. Because how you are receiving the gifts, receiving the information, transmuting and healing and transforming is healing the collective, which is also you. So this is why when we talk about dimensions, it's not the correct word. But you don't have another word, so we call it density or dimensions because it's easy for you to understand. But now that you have this information, density and dimensionality don't really make sense, because There's no density in a web. It's light as a feather. It's expansive. There's no dimensionality in a web because it can be twisted and turned and folded together and stretched apart, which is more accurate in the understanding of what we are trying to explain. Your 11th dimensional self, let's say that that is the middle of the web and the highest viewing point that can see all of the connections, disconnections, breakages, turbulence coming, winds coming. You've already done that road, go down this road to all of the versions of yourself. This is how you can take form in astral travel and time travel, because you don't physically go anywhere, but you are just connecting with yourself in that moment. Yes, you are traveling through the web of what you would call dimensionality, through the light in which you are, to meet yourself, but you are still sitting in your room, or you are still sitting in the park on the grass in your meditation state. So the astral projection or the astral travel or the time travel that you are experiencing is connecting to your fractaled self having that experience. And when you are moving dimensional realities and what you would say 3D, 4D, or 5D, it's only aligning with what where the collective is going and where the planet is going. So if you are still feeling like you are in a 3D world, it's because the part of the planet that you are on and the part of the collective of the area and the environment that you are in is reflective of that dimensionality. So you have the power to split yourself and multiply and go and live 100 different options and 100 different lives all at the same time. If that's what you desire. If that's desirable to your experience, if that's of benefit to the collective and to the planet, if that's in co-creation. So when we are talking about mastery or initiation into mastery, it's this information and then doing something with the information in co-creation. And how many fractals of light can one body physically even hold? Well, how many cells do you have in your body? Which is all light. Trillion? I don't know. How many do you have now? Mm-hmm. Trillions of cells that keep multiplying and keep going on and on and on. It's the same. You can have that many experiences if that's what you desire. And when we talk about our most low vibrational word called limitation, you're only limited to how much you want the desire. You're only limited to your thoughts. So if your thoughts of the day are, should I go or should I break at this light, then you're only going to get reflection of those types of situations or the energy of the vibration of that decision or of that experience. But if your thoughts are more expansive of who invented artificial intelligence and why does it feel so comfortable but scary? Let's just say that's one of your thoughts. Then you will get the information of that vibration, which is a very big energetic difference than should I brake or should I go at the traffic light. The experience may be the same, but an expansive thought leads to expansion. And if you start asking those expansive questions, what is the quantum field? How many cells do I have in my body? What lights me up? What lights the grid up? How can I give back to my community? If I'm in the receiver, then what am I receiving? If who is keeping my heart beating? What is keeping my heart beating? Why do I have an electric pulse and I'm not a machine? These types of questions will lead you to expansion because they are beyond your routine. Should I have almond milk or coconut milk in my coffee? We would say is not an expansive question. It's still a great question, but it will lead you to one or two options. Whereas an expansive options gives you unlimited information in which you can start to co-create and play with, which is what you're here for. And you can be very familiar with healers and saints and angels and monumental timelines because you've already done that. A fractal of you has done that, or you've had a past experience of that. So of course the stories are going to be familiar to you. You were there at some level, energetically. Some of you even physically. You are connected to your history and you're so intrigued in ancient history because a fractal of you or all of you was there. And you question things because you were there. So I know that this story is not accurate. I don't know how I know, but I know it's not accurate. I know there's missing pieces. And that leads to the expansion. So it's not that your 11th or your 12th dimensional self have all of the answers to everything and they're the most infinite, powerful beings known to planet. No, it's the fact that they have a higher perspective because they physically and virtually can see the whole web. And in your 3-dimensional reality, you can only see your 3D version. And then you can see a 4D version. Then you can see a 5D version. So as you expand and your expansion of seeing things and reality changes, it has to, because you're not a 2D being anymore, then you become a closer connection and communication through to your 11th dimensional self. Because you have expanded. And within your expansion, so have they, and so has the planet, and so has the collective. That's why we are able to deliver this information in this time now, because of the expansion. It is our intention to clarify the questions and to answer the questions that are in the collective at this time. Thank you. You have a question?
Well, my question is could I'm just trying to match the verbiage with the 11th dimensional self. Would that be considered our higher self? Or could we consider that in our terminology, we use higher self a lot? Would that be considered like our higher self, or would that be considered like the oversoul aspect?
It is not the oversoul aspect.
Okay.
The oversoul is unity consciousness.
Oh, got it.
For it is only an oversoul of oversouls.
Mm.
But the 11th dimensional self would be the higher dimensional self, because you would picture that as the bird's eye view of looking through all of the dimensional realities.
Mm. Okay, and then my other question is, would we, to keep this contained, would we just be talking about Earth experiences? Like this is happening just as Earth experience, or this is happening in all experiences of ourselves, whether it's our version of ourselves on Earth as well as our versions of ourselves in other places.
So when you remember past lives, or when you connect with past lives, are you an earth creature or an earth being?
Not always.
So then how would you remember that?
Ah, got it.
It is the spirit
Mm.
connection. It is not necessarily your human experience. It is whatever you were as this spirit, as this soul, however that would be physically manifest, whether that would be a Lemurian being, a healer, a saint, a person of status, a Arcturian being, a grey, whatever you are associated to and that is in your soul experience, in your light experience. Those are the past, present, future selves of you. Does this answer your question?
Yes, yes. I just wanted to make the clarification that this expands well beyond, this expands to your soul essence, not just the life experiences of Earth being multiplied out in all these ways. It's your soul essence is multiplied out in all these ways, and you're experiencing the fractalization or the fragmentization and how you explained it. So I just wanted to make that clarification. Thank you. That's all the questions I have.
Thank you.